Welcome to our hot seat for today. This session is really an opportunity for you to get a little glimpse into the application of the team method. You get to watch a transformation of someone's dynamic that they have going on, for them to go from emotion to have a heart open resolution to their dynamic they're working on. So my name is Tanya. I'm a counselor and master certified DMRT method facilitator. Some get a little bit like, whoa, I've been doing this for 14 years. It's definitely been a fascinating journey. And I'm definitely intrigued by the whole dynamic around human behavior and dynamics, and helping people to find solutions to problems within humanity. So a lot of the purpose that we focus on in Maximum Growth is about helping you to find meaning and also to find the mystical and have that mystical experience. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to have a glimpse into what that's like in tonight's session. So our session will be an opportunity we'll go through, and people will share some of the dynamics that they have going on in their life. And then you'll get an opportunity to vote for who you would love to see in the hot seat for tonight. Now, know that whoever does get chosen, there tends to be some beautiful kind of reflection in your own life. You'll be able to take out some insights and information that can be applicable and maybe heal some dynamics in your own life. So you being here is perfect. We'll also have an opportunity at the very end to do a share, so stay on for that, because it definitely is where that mystical, magical experience gets to take place. So let's start. We have a few people who have put their hand up. And so what I'd love you to do is you have 30 seconds to be able to share with the group what is specifically that you are struggling with and what you would love to see as a transformation. So Shane.
Thank you. My challenge that I'm facing at the moment is that I feel like I have not lots of knowledge and value to offer, but I'm lacking the courage to step up and actually go after what I want, because I'm scared of what will happen, and I don't feel like I have enough to offer as other people do.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Marcia.
So my challenge is, I've been facilitating coaching for 12 years. But somehow the last few months, I've been having a lot of doubt and challenges. And also somehow it's like I work through my purpose, mission, and vision, but then I just keep kind of denying it. Also, there's a dynamic because Olivier and we are in business together, and I sense that I love facilitating coaching, but in terms of the business structure systems, he's the one that take care of it. But there are other things. So I feel also that I subordinate quite a bit to him in terms of the business and coaching. And so I feel sometimes I actually I look at myself, and I don't see myself as a 61-year-old. I see myself often as a 5-6-year-old. So like the little, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing. And Kate.
Hi, I only put my hand up because you had no volunteers. We've had this guy who walks down the street and he does not pick up after his dog poo, and it's been going on for a few months. And my husband bailed him up one day, said, please stop doing it, please pick it up. And now he's been targeting our driveway deliberately. And one night a few weeks ago, my husband accidentally lost his shit and ran after the guy and wiped dog shit on his arm and on the back of the dog. And now the police are involved, and the man is still doing it. And I have it on CCTV. And it's just, I've been talking to lawyers today, and it's just this head fuck.
Well, thank you, Kate, for sharing. Alexa.
Hi. The challenge I face today is that my business is growing. I have a lot of new opportunities, and my entire body is rejecting it. And so it means very heavy headaches each time that I want to develop my business. Even talking about it, I feel the tears coming up. What I suspect is that it's linked to kind of black series of events that I've experienced between 2016 and 2018, where one of the sub aspects of it was too much work, or at least, a lot of work in a period that was very challenging emotionally for me for different reasons. And so it's as if I've worked on all the events that happened between 2016 and 2018, but it's as if there's still kind of a dark cloud around that period. And as if today, with the job being more intense, or trying to be more intense, it's as if I push it back, and it's my body really pushing it back. I can't sleep, tension, so that's it. I would really love to develop my business. That's what I have my focus on, and so now my body doesn't want me to. So it's a bit frustrating.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I just couldn't get the button to work. Can you hear me now?
That's okay. Yes.
Sorry. So hi. My challenge is that I have just quit my job and I'm going into becoming a coach, but I'm absolutely, I've got a lot of old identity coming up about how I can't be somebody that can earn a decent amount of money. And, there's a big challenge around stepping into being a business person and creating wealth and money for myself. So
Thank you for being here. And last is Lexi.
So my challenge is catastrophizing. No, my challenge is control, and then like catastrophizing things. So like travel in specific, like I'm due to travel in a couple of weeks' time overseas, and I've never really done it on my own before. I'm going with a tour, but like a lot of these like fearful thoughts come up. Like I'm going to Greece, and there's been like protesting in Greece, and I'm like, oh my God, what if I get stuck there? Like catastrophizing everything. So, but I think the deeper underlying issue is control. So like I want to control the situation, but I can't. And so, and it's not just with that, it's with like other aspects of my life as well, like financially, like with all the new CBDC stuff coming in, and like Russia and China and all of that sort of political stuff going on at the moment, and like the economy is going to crash, and I'm like, oh, it's just like, oh my God. So it's like, a lot of fear. So that's me.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. So I'm just going to share on the screen. So thank you everyone for sharing. So what I'm going to do is you can lower your hand now if you like. So I'm going to start a poll for you on your screen now. So I'll just go through the stories again. We've gotten Shane is around having a lack of courage and a little bit around subordination as well. Marcy around doubting facilitating, also subordination. Kate has the story around the dynamic with the house and poo and the dog and legal dynamics. Alexa is around building her business, but her body is also struggling. Kiri is around quitting her job and stepping into coaching, and how does she do that with the dynamic around having to support herself financially. And Lexi is around that control, catastrophizing things around travel. So can everyone please vote? So half of you have voted so far. So if you can just click on the button that is in front of you, So it's a bit of a close one at the moment at this stage. So I'll give you a few more moments. There is 4 people left.
Tanya, I don't see the vote.
Oh, are you on your phone? Are you on your phone?
I'm on my computer.
In your computer. Okay, so it would be the one. There's 2 people left. I need 2 more people, but one more. There was supposed to be always someone because I've got it even. So I imagine you.
It'll be me and Kerry.
Oh, I understand. Okay, cool. So
Kiri logged in twice, so maybe that's why you lack a vote. Apparently, she's there twice.
yes, yeah. So I'm going to end. So Kiri, can you turn off your because I'm echoing, I think, in your I think you might have to, if you've got 2 computers going on, I'm echoing. So I'm going to end the poll. So we had an even, but Kiri also and Bernadine saying they haven't been able to vote, which is shown on my stats anyway, that 2 people haven't been able to vote. So it looks like them by 1. Okay, is that okay? We allow in these communities to vote for yourself. I'm assuming you want to vote for yourself, or do you want to vote for someone else?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So can you put your video back on for me? I'm just going to pin you so I can just.
Yeah, is that better?
Well, yes, but do you have your camera on?
Can you see me? I've got my cameras on.
Yeah, she's on a different, not my page. She's on her own one now.
I'll
Kerry
put my hand
Wenders.
up if you like, so you can see me. Yeah.
Are you on?
Kerry Wenders.
I know, I see that. Okay.
Can you see me?
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
I just pin you and I'm going to unpin you. Right. Thank you. So, well, if you can just explain just one more time, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take notes as we go along, just to if there's something that kind of I think about or I find interesting, I'm going to take notes. You can me pick that along as you talk. So, team, as you observe this, there were kind of a few people who had a similar kind of dynamic around stepping into a business as well as wanting to grow their business. So also know that this will be a beautiful reflection and some learning and lesson in that for you. But don't be surprised what might come up if there were some other stories that didn't seem to quite relate. But sometimes we have this ability to kind of bring it all together and see how it's all common. So let's see. It's a bit of a mystery up until now. Sorry. Kiri, can you explain to me what made you transition from a full-time position to stepping into doing your own coaching practice, and what specifically are you struggling with the most?
Okay, so I decided to go into coaching because I've been studying lots of personal development. I got my coaching ticket about a couple of years ago, and I've been really trying to get it started whilst I was at work, and I gained a little bit of momentum, but my day job was so intense that I couldn't do both of them. So I had to make a decision to go in.
Yeah.
It was either.
So burn your bridges and go in and just go and coach.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have coaching clients at the moment, or no coaching client? You do?
I have some. It's kind of like there's a couple of pro bono, and then a couple of that I'm charging, you know, a beginner's rate, you know. So just getting myself.
Okay. And what's just out of curiosity, do you know what amount of income that you require per week, per month, annum that you're aiming for? Like, are you certain of that number?
Yeah. So initially I would like to get 1,500 a week in the hand after tax. That would be comfortable. And then obviously, yeah, but and the first goal would be to go to that.
Okay. And how many weeks a year do you want to work? Because most people don't work 50. Yeah. So how many weeks do you want to work?
Like 48 weeks a year.
Okay, so it's 72K per annum. Okay, and so and then how many, so to do 1,500 per week, how many clients do you want to see in a week?
I would love to see like 5 clients a week.
Okay, so if they're and so it's 5 clients a week at 1,500. So each client's going to be paying $300 per session.
No, the way I kind of wanted to get it to say 5 clients a week is I would want to sell 5 programs a week. Do you know what I mean? So like a $1,500 program, like a 12-week program. So like that. Does that kind of work out?
So if you sold 1 package a week, but then by the end of the 12 weeks, you'll have 12 hours of clients rather than 5.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Okay. So then it would be more than 72K. Because we want to be able to paint, like for us to be able to, for me to be able to get you where you want to go, we have to really have a clear picture and kind of what that would look like. So do you want to serve 5 people a week, or do you want to serve 12 people a week?
I would love to serve only 5 a week. That would be awesome, but I don't see that happening in the term. So we'll go 12 a week.
Okay, no, but tell me, why do you not see that happening? Is it the 300? Is that the part that became a little bit sticky in terms of, is it that amount? You're like, I don't know if I could charge 300 per session, or do you?
Yeah.
because if we went to 12, if you went to because how many sessions would they get for 1,500?
At this stage, they'll be getting 12 sessions for 1,500.
Yeah, it works out to be $125 a session.
Yeah. So it's a lot less than it, isn't it?
Than 300. Yeah, I know. It's a bit of, is that the part that feels a little bit sticky in terms of being able to say, oh, how could I charge $300 a session? So, because at this stage, if you did $125 a session and you wanted to make 1,500, you're going to have to do 12 of those
a week. Yeah,
a week. Okay, but that's more than double what you originally want, because there's a big difference between, like, we want to be able to create a business and a life.
Yeah.
When we create sometimes we can create a business when kind of stepping into the business world, and we create a business that wraps around our life. And our life, here it is sitting in the middle, and business is around our life. And then as we do more and more business, our life gets more and more strangled. And then it's just like we don't end up getting a life because all we're doing is business. And so then we want to go, well, what kind of business and life do you want to also have?
Yeah. So, because I know there's so much else you have to do in the business, not just the taking the clients, right? So I wouldn't want to day.
You wouldn't want to what?
I think 2 clients a day would be enough for me.
So that's 10 a week, including everything else that you have to do.
That's the maximum.
Yeah. So between 5 and 10 a week? So between 5 and 10 a week, or 10? Because because the thing is, you've got to get certain. Like, in order to be able to kind of know what you want, you've got to have certainty about the levels of detail. So we've got Kiri mean 5 new clients per week. I think she said 1 new client a week, from my understanding. You said 1 new client a week. So then by the end of the 12 weeks, that would be 12 clients, is what she had said. What do you want? What would you love?
So hard to answer that because I'm so, like, I haven't experienced it yet, so I don't know. Like, when you get into an experience of something, then you get to like go, actually, maybe 12 is not enough. I might want more or less, or you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I don't know
So
what
if we had a starting point that you could aim for, that you felt like was inspiring, a little bit of a stretch, something that you could do, what would that be?
Okay, so it would be between 5 and 10. I think 12 is too much for me at this point.
Okay, great. So we're certain on that then. So is it 10? Is it 7? Is it 5? What would it be? So we want to certain, because between 5 and 10 is a big, that's double. So what's a number that you feel yes, that I'm certain with that, because that's what we want to have to start with, is to have, like, yes, you may not know what it's going to feel like when you get in, and then you readjust your goal when you get closer to it. But what would be the number that feels most fulfilling for you?
Okay, 5.
5. Okay, great. So 5 per week.
Yeah.
And so what's in the way right now, and how many, including, so regardless of whether you're getting paid or not, how many clients are you currently serving each week?
I've got 3.
3. Is that they're about to finish 3, or they're right in the middle of their package, or it's an ad hoc?
Just started.
Oh, sorry, they just started. Okay. So, okay. And then what's the drawback? Because I know you want to focus. So you've got to lift by a little less than, like, you've got to almost double the amount of people that you're currently serving. So, and you said you want to work on finances of being able to, because one is we've got to know the number of people that you want to first serve. And that's helpful for anyone in any type of business. You've got to have a goal that you're certain of. Not like kind of a rough goal, like a specific goal. And so then what's in the way financially of you being able to charge? You said, you're doing a beginner's rate and pro bono. So what do you perceive to be in the way of you being able to charge a higher rate for your service?
I feel like what's in the way is my capability as a coach. So whilst I got certified and everything, I feel like I haven't got the experience and the practice as a coach to charge what I want to, I like.
So
experience.
Okay, so it's the experience. Okay. Can I ask a question? How old are you?
I'm 50.
Okay. And do you have kids?
Yeah, 1.
And in those years of you being a mom, and how old are they?
She's 18 now.
18. She. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And in her all of her 18 years, where and when have there been moments for her that you've had to come to coach her and give her some advice or share some wisdom with her? So I want you to tell me specific moments of where and when you've had moments with her that you've been able to coach her and share some of the things that you've learned in your years of personal development with her.
Okay, so I've had to help her through friendship issues. So
So you certain in that moment you helped her?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So tell me, go to another moment of where and when you've perceived yourself to coach your daughter
when she's been so really having high anxiety around exam or a test or something at school. And
okay, so tell me specific moments, like 18, she just finished high school, or she's finished year 12?
so I had a moment where she had to do an exam or an assignment. It was an exam, and she was really stressing about it and felt like she hadn't prepared well enough, and she's been going through some health issues, so she was a bit nervous about whether she would be like her health issue gives her a lot of pain, so she was wondering if the pain might interfere with her performing well in the exam kind of thing. So,
and how did she, after speaking with you, how did she feel?
she felt great and confident going into the exam.
Okay, so we've got some certainty around the fact that you can help someone with anxiety and transform that. So go to another specific moment of where and when you've been able to, whether it be your daughter or someone else, that you've been able to share some of the experience, the knowledge, the wisdom that you have, and have been able to coach them any time in your life.
Well, I know I've done it plenty of times with people.
Okay,
family.
so give me specific moments, like with specific people.
I did some coaching last year on like with groups,
Mm-hmm.
and on a call with somebody that was struggling to be motivated for that week, and I helped them get motivated to get there.
Okay, and what happened afterwards? What happened to their work week?
Yeah, they did it, and they texted me to tell me how cool it was, and that they were able to get their action done. Yeah.
So they were able to generate an income from the work that you helped them through.
Yeah, not an income, but it was exercise program, so they were able to overcome under the exercise, and yeah.
Great. So helping them to make them feel more healthy and
confident. Yeah.
Okay, great. So go to another moment of where and when you've perceived yourself to have the ability to coach someone with the knowledge and wisdom that you have.
I can't remember specifics, but they are there. I've done it.
Okay, great. We definitely want to wake them up, because when you do, because the ones that we have identified so far, do you feel different? Are you starting to feel different about yourself? You're like, actually, I have a little bit more confidence or a little bit more experience than I realized. Because most people think that once they do their coaching certificate, then they're like, well, I don't know enough. I don't know a lot. But then if you look at your life, you don't just decide to become a coach for a random reason. There's a deeper reason why you've chosen it, because your life has gravitated to actually wanting to help people, to actually wanting to coach them. And you would have already been doing it prior to this.
Yes.
And so what about yourself? So tell me moments of where and when you've perceived yourself to coach yourself. Go through something and go, you know what's the, and look at the perspective and change your perspective, or apply something that you learned on yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me a moment of that. Mm-hmm.
When I was going through an emotional time, and I was walking to and I was just coaching myself through that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Was able to and feel good after that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you certain in that moment that you had some relief from feeling emotional to then having the relief of doing the exercise and shifting yourself? Yeah. So tell me another moment of where and when within yourself that you've used that, been a coach for you.
for myself, yeah, coached myself around my diet. So I used to want to overeat all the time, and I now coach myself a lot around that. So if
Okay,
I
so
feel
tell me, but tell me specific moment. I want you a specific moment where you were eating pasta or whatever it is. I don't know. You're out to dinner and you're like, oh no, and then start coaching. So I want a specific moment, because that's
so
what's going to happen when you wake up. Yeah.
when I was off to the supermarket to go and buy some chocolate. And I was like walking along and I really had the urge to go and have some, buy some chocolate and eat it. And then I was just like, actually, is this in your highest good here? And I talked to myself through it. And then I just felt I observed the feeling of the urge, and I just let it go. So I didn't actually, I ended up the urge left, and then I just didn't buy the chocolate and I went and did something else. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you certain then in that moment that you could have gone down a different path, but you were able to coach yourself and then show that you could make different decisions and take different actions?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the most beautiful things we can remember as a coach, that if you don't have any clients, you have you, and that you coach you. And if we start coaching ourselves and we get to experience the transformation within our own lives, we have so much more certainty in being able to share what we love with other people, because we believe in it ourselves. And so if you then reflect on all the moments that you've coached yourself through, yes, we'll put our hand up and say sometimes we're not such a good coach to ourselves, and we probably fail at it, we forget it. It was like, completely, you don't even realize you're a coach and you're like stuck in your emotion and stuff. But then there are moments that you actually go, you know what, it's time, I'm ready to face something, I'm ready to, resolve dynamic inside of yourself, and that you take action on that. And so we forget that, and we don't see the connection, but it's actually helping us, because once we've gone through a dynamic, if you have a client that comes to you and says, I just have these urges and I can't help it, I just want to go and eat chocolate and I don't know what to do. You're like, oh, that's right, I've done this and this is what helped me. Maybe if I shared something like that, and unpack and reverse engineer what I did to be able to take that different path, maybe I could share that wisdom with them. And then maybe that might be able to help them.
Yeah.
So you're able to then use your experience and the dynamics you've gone through and been able to resolve yourself to be able to then help people. So if you reflect on that, having experience and having the capability to coach, tell me where you're at with that thought now.
Yeah, I know I can do the coaching. It's just I'm not confident in the method that I've learned. So I know I can naturally.
Yep.
But it's technicalities of the actual method that I've learned, and I haven't practiced that very much. So I don't feel that confident in that particular method, but I know I can bring about some transformation in people.
Okay.
So,
and do you mind if I ask, is there a reason why you haven't practiced it? And and when you say haven't practiced it enough, is that you think you should have done it way more than you have, or you have done a little bit, or you haven't done any?
It was a time thing. So last year when I was working full time and everything, I just didn't have the time to put into it. But I do have now to put into it. So that's part of it. But it's also part of the reason why I haven't put my price up yet, because I feel like I need to get that part sorted to feel really super confident to then put a bigger price on my services.
Okay, so I hear now we're at a conflict. Let me share the conflict that you have. So you know that as a way to be able to increase your value in the marketplace, you have to educate yourself more in your perception for them to be able to go and say, well, I can help you and I have more expertise. then you haven't been working in the same capacity that you were last year. So you have more space and time to be able to do that, but then you're not taking the action to be able to go and put more time and energy into it. Is that to be able to, so we'll call that a growth ceiling. We've now gotten to the point, it's like, because you want to grow, but not taking the action to grow. You want to be able to charge more, or do you want to be able to charge more?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. So what would be the drawback? I'm just wanting to get curious. And what would be the drawback if you were to charge more than what you're currently charging? What's the cost of it? Because maybe this is some of the drawbacks might kind of give me an insight into where to go next. So what do you perceive to be the drawback if you were to charge more?
That I wouldn't be able to deliver what they expect from me by me charging more. So if I put a higher price on my services, then I have to live up to that expectation, and I don't know if I can.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for sharing. And I'm sure other people also listening in have also had that same dynamic of going, yeah, like if I'm Alexa said, yep, if I had to charge more, it's like I've got to deliver so much more. And some people do that and go, well, I'm going to do a double the hours of session. So rather than doing the 1 hour session, I do 2 hours to make sure we get the results. Okay. So I know personally, I've paid a lot for coaches over the years. And there was one particular session I had with someone, and I'd left the session and I thought, I got nothing out of that. And then it was like 3 months later, I have a lot of like moments in my shower when I'm thinking about things. And I just remember that defining moment where what they had said, the penny dropped. And I was like, oh, I totally get it now. It was like, it gave me goosebumps. I cried in the shower for like 15 minutes. It was like unbelievable. And I just still remember, I was like, whoa, because sometimes as a coach, we have this attachment that we need to deliver in the moment. Like we need that, big realization in that moment, but we forget what we are actually. We're more gardeners than we are coaches, because we're planting seeds, we're tending to the soil, we're watering it. And then maybe sometimes the kahuna moment doesn't happen in that time, but it happens a little bit later. It happens, it happens a week later. It happens at the very end of the last session you ever do with them. And they're like, oh, that was incredible. So what's the drawback that if you of delivering what the client expected in each session, what's the drawback in that? Like, what's the cost of that?
To the cost to them?
To them. Mm-hmm.
If they paid
if you
me.
delivered, yeah.
If I deliver,
so if you help them to deliver the result that they've paid you for, what's the drawback in that?
So they got the result that they paid me for.
Mm-hmm.
The drawback. I guess the drawback is that they're done and you don't have them as a client anymore. They're happy, they go.
I understand, but we want the drawback to them.
To them.
Rather than, yeah, to them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the drawback that they pay for it and they get the result that they want, that they paid for.
And it's a bit of a sticky question, hey, because you're like, well, I can see your brain's like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, because basically what we do, when in Buddhism, they talk about how it's the second noble truth, which is it's our attachment causes suffering. And so if we attach to what a result looks like for a client, what a session looks like for a client, and we say it has to look like this in order for me to feel okay, it has to look like this, we then create suffering. So what we want to do is dissolve our attachment to what it should look like, and just like sometimes Sometimes it's going to be like deeply transformative. Sometimes it's been one of those ones you've seeded something and later on it's going to grow. Sometimes, over the years I've had sessions where actually it didn't go very well in my perception at all, and it was like a bit of a challenging session. But that challenge actually birthed their empowerment, because they said, I'm no longer going to go to lean on anyone else. I'm finally going to take, control and power in my own life, make decisions, do the work myself. And that gets them more empowered than if they were to stay with you and do the work. And so what we want to do is be able to also then see, if we do the work with them, what's that cost them? It costs them, they have to come back and go, well, I need you in order to do the work for myself. What's the drawback if you don't get them thinking, because they're just relying on you to do a lot of the thinking. They're not questioning themselves or doing deeper questioning, because they're like, oh, and what happens if you just touch the surface and you didn't go really deep, potentially, with what they could have done with their healing journey? If they're like, oh, I'm done. And if they leave going, everything I've done, I'm finished, there's so much work that we can do. There's like a continual journey we can do with our personal development. What's the drawback?
They might become
They might become which? What?
fell short, like everything that they could be getting.
Yeah. So this is the drawback if you deliver what they've paid for.
That they've got more. Is that what you're saying? They've got more.
If they got the result that they paid you for, what's the drawback in that? Team, feel free to share in here in the chat section. What's the drawback?
Is it like they come for what they're looking for, but there might be more that they can unfold?
Okay, great. Can become dependent on the coach. They become reliant on you to achieve the result. And that's a big one, like becoming reliant on you to achieve the result. What's the drawback in that for the client?
They don't learn to do it themselves.
What do you want? What would you love for them?
For them to be able to know how to do it themselves, so they can go on and use it long term.
Yeah, like it's a lot of the things that we do inside of Maximum Growth is like teaching or sharing a foundation of mindset and questions that you can ask that it would be sticking with you for the rest of your life. And so in fact, with you and resentment towards themselves, that definitely, it's like you do it so much faster and so much quicker with you than if I did it on my own. It's like, oh, but you just find the issue so fast and you get to the points, and that can be a drawback, because it doesn't get them to be sovereign within themselves to find the answers. Dependent on a quick fix, their expectations will be that they can get that every session, which sometimes happens when you have like an amazing session, like, well, I want that again and again and again. And you sometimes as a coach are like, yep. And then you label your sessions. That was a good one. That was a bad one. That was a, amazing, insightful. That was like terrible. And then you just end up like labeling all the sessions and essentially resent you if you can't fix them.
Yeah.
So what's the benefit has there been a client that you have felt like you've been able to work with and haven't gotten the result that they really wanted?
Yeah.
And what was the benefit to them of getting what they got, what they needed? What was the benefit?
They got to let themselves off the hook. They didn't have to
Okay,
finish.
and so, and how does that serve them?
That gave them more time and energy to put into other things.
Okay, so there was something else that was more valuable to them for them to focus on than that particular issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens, isn't it? Like we're ready to face something, and then we dip our toe in, and I'm like, not quite ready yet. Go off and do other things, and then the pain builds up, and the perception of pain builds up a little bit more, and then challenge, like, okay, I'll try again. Nope, not ready. And then until finally there's a crescendo of like, no, it's now a time I have to face it because I can't. The pain is now outweighed the dynamic that's happening. So what else is the benefit to that particular individual of the result they didn't get?
Oh, they can blame it. They can blame it on me that it didn't work.
Oh, but we want to find the benefit though. So it's really a benefit because they're blaming you. So what would be a benefit to them?
I mean, like, if they blame me, then they don't have to blame themselves. So it's a benefit. Don't take responsibility.
Yes, but it's not the type of benefit that we look at. We will love a benefit that is helping them, not something that hinders because in a way that's a hindrance to them because they're still not. When someone blames someone else, they're not really taking full accountability. So what's the benefit to them?
The benefit for them not getting the result they want. They can go like what you just described before about if it's not the right time, then they can go off and the pain gets deeper. So then when the pain's deeper, then they might get information.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know, what result did you give them? So rather than thinking they didn't get a result, what result did you give them?
I gave them, I got them moving a little bit away from the current reality.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave them a taster of what it can be like.
Okay, and so what was the benefit for them of having a taster?
That they know that it's possible and that it's there. It's like planting a seed. Okay,
and is it possible then, like, if someone's not ready, can you move them?
Yes. Oh, no, not if they're not ready and they're not willing, you can't move them. Participating. That you can only move them as far as they're willing to go, I suppose.
And that's true for some people, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter how amazing as a coach you could be and how skilled you can be, there are still some people that aren't, no matter how much money they spend, aren't ready to move. Yeah. Like I had a client that I recall in terms of them wanting their dynamic to change for years and years and years, and no matter how much they said, how much they tried, how many introspections that they did, it just wasn't the time for them. That they had to wait until a change in circumstances and opportunity came along for them to then want to go and make a change. So that we have to balance, so because I wonder then how much of that dynamic where it shows up, well, then you blame yourself. It's like, well, that didn't work, I'm going to blame me. And I wonder how much then that shows up in other aspects of your life. Like if something didn't work out, you blame yourself. If you have a dynamic maybe with your daughter, you blame yourself. If you're not making money, you blame yourself. And so then we're showing that dynamic up when it comes into a relationship with a client. And then if it doesn't work, blame self.
Yeah, I feel incredibly guilty if somebody paid me a lot of money and they didn't get what they wanted from it. I would feel this incredible guilt. I mean,
but the thing is, it's your expectation, because sometimes for you to be able to, for a client to come to you and say, well, I want to lose weight, for example, and says, I want to lose weight. And then you see them for 1 hour once a week, and you give them your heart and soul and you help them to no end. and then they're with themselves for the rest of their week, which is however many hours for the 7 days, but you're just with them for this slither, and then you go, oh, I expect with that one time that it's going to leverage them to get the result they want, even though you're not with them for all of the other times of the week. So sometimes people come to you having an expectation with what they want, but you have to learn how to manage them, that they end up getting what they need. Or how do you manage? It's like if you can have strategies of how do you manage when you know that you're into like session 2 or 3 or 4 and you're like, we don't seem to be moving. It's like, what's your strategy that you could say to them to say, look, what I've noticed is, we've done this work around X, Y, Z. We've looked at this, this, and this, but I'm noticing there hasn't been much change in your life. What's going on? Because then we're going to be starting to talk about the problem above the problem. Do you really, truly want to change? Or is it something that you don't really want to do? Or like, what are you getting out of these sessions? Like, what's the need that's getting met? Maybe you're not getting what you want right now, but what are you getting? And what result, what, changes or insights or shifts are you getting from the work that we're doing? So you can help move the need from what they're paying you for. This is what I want, lose weight. But maybe they're getting just like better questions they can start asking themselves, a new insight, maybe kind of a introspection and kind of like their relationship dynamics, like you're teaching them something. And so that's what you want to bring to the forefront of their mind so that you can manage their expectations, because that's what you're going to have to do sometimes with your clients.
Yeah.
I still love the concept, which is clients come to you, they get what they need, not what they want.
Yeah.
So tell me what you're thinking and feeling.
Thinking and feeling. I'm thinking and feeling that, less guilty around the charging of the clients, and that I'm feeling more confident about delivering. And I know that I could use that strategy of explaining, turning it in their minds about where this is going if it's not going the way that their just shifting their expectation and their perception of it.
Mm-hmm. And how would that sit with you then, if you could shift their expectation and you could manage that and you could help them see the value that they are getting from what they need, not what they want?
Mm-hmm.
How would that feel for you in terms of being able to charge them? You still feel like you wouldn't be able to, or you would?
Would be able to charge them, yeah.
Okay. You would? Okay. And so what's the benefit to the client of them paying for your services?
They take it more seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else is the benefit of them paying for your services?
They might do their tasks and homework.
Yeah. To take it seriously outside of the session.
Yeah, outside of the session, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the change is going to really truly transform, is outside. That's what they do outside.
Mm-hmm.
If we just did this session and then outside you got super inflamed and then spent time with people who were inflaming you and had conversations with inflammatory and then come back to the session, it's like, why is nothing changing? I'm like, maybe the environment that you're in maybe you need to change in terms of what's happening. So Thomas says those who pay attention. That's beautiful. So what else is the benefit of them paying for you?
If I get paid, then I get to stay in business, and then I can be more available for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect. Yeah. What else is the benefit of you? And you also, if you did a recon of all the money that you spent on all the personal development and your own coaching and all of that all together, you want to start getting a return on your investment as well. So what else is the benefit of you charging and the client paying?
To me or to them? To me?
To the client.
To the client. Of them paying me to the client.
Like if they're paying you $1,500, they pay up front, they pay $1,500. Like what's the benefit, say, to them?
Oh, well, they get the transformation or the coaching. They get somebody, whatever their thing is.
They're committed for the 12 weeks. Like I'm not just committed just once off. Or it's not a feel good thing. It's like I'm fully committed.
And they'll get some results after the 12 weeks.
Yeah. What else is the benefit of them paying for your services?
The benefit to them. I don't know any others.
So as presented towards the client, so access to personal guidance, you're saving them time and money. I like to think about it sometimes, depending on the type of coaching, but like sometimes looking at, well, what's the return on their investment? So if they invested $1,500 with you, what money, more money could they make? What time could they save? What, relationship dynamic could shift as a result that could bring about more money for them? What dynamic could be healed within them that could bring in more money for them? And so then you start to think about it from that perspective, and you're like, whoosh, well, that means that I'm actually able to, maybe they're able to make a deal that's going to be worth X dollars. It's going to make a difference to their life. Maybe they're going to stay in their marriage, and that's going to save them like half of their wealth, which could be millions of dollars. So you start to think about it from that perspective. Yeah. Maybe just heal their relationship with their inner self. And then the result of that is they can go out to the world, and that changes everything about their whole life. And you think, what is that worth? And then you think $1,500. Yeah. That's like nothing compared to the transformation they could possibly get of coming to do coaching. Okay. So you want to also.
One was coached, and she lost a lot of weight, and she saved herself a whole lot of health bills, and she saved her marriage as well, because her and her husband started exercising together and having a good.
Can you just sit with that for a minute then? Like just sit with that for a minute. Like you saved her marriage, so you saved half of her wealth. You know all the challenge that goes along with that. You created a better connection between her and her husband, and so they started, having a similar value and reconnecting in that. A relationship with food, her body. Like, can you see the yeah, I know. It's like, what a bargain. Oh, can I sign off? $1,500.
I charged her $300. That was it.
Did you? Wow. Okay. So if you thought about her and you thought about the transformation you've done, can you see like that you have the confidence, the ability, you have a level of experience and result to show with that? I hope you got a testimonial out of her to say how much you okay, great, because that's worth money. So how are you feeling then about your ability to be able to coach, charge money? Because essentially what we want to be able to do is you want to be able to have, so team, what we've been able to do so far, and there's definitely more work that you can do, Kiri, in terms of if you have doubt in your coaching ability, you have to go through your life and wake that up inside of you to have moments that you can tune into, feel, experience, perceive, to go, yeah, actually I do. And you just keep on getting moment after moment, and it might come in different forms. It might be with a stranger that you met on an aeroplane, you had a conversation with. It might be with your boss and that you worked through some kind of level of conflict. Maybe it is, speaking in front of a group of audience and you shared one thing, and then that's another moment. And then maybe it's with your children, and then maybe it's with your parents, and maybe it's with yourself, and you just bring up all of these moments of where and when you've had ability to coach and actually help someone. Then you've been able to see that ripple effect of the coaching ability, like when you have coached someone and you have that one lady. I reckon if you just thought about that one lady when you write your marketing, when you think about your business, when you get a bit like, oh gosh, what am I doing? This is really difficult. Think about her again, because she's your inspiration. You do that to 100 people, you do that to 1,000 people. You're like unstoppable, because you're like, whoa, this is so transformative, and I love my business and I love my life. So that's the individual I have to think about. So in terms of charging, we have to be able to see how, well, one, we want to take off any attachment we have around what coaching has to look like. Because if we have, that's part of the thing that's going to keep the client stuck, is that if we have this dynamic where we say, I have to get a result for you, and we're so attached to that result, they actually don't get a result. And so our attachment that causes their suffering, yet we want to help them. And we have to actually let go of that. I know it seems so like, what? We actually have to let go of our attachment to it for them to be able to get the results. And so we do that by looking at the drawbacks or exploring the drawbacks of them getting the result. And most coaches, because they're so wanting that, it's almost like it's such an impossible question to ask, because they have that and they're like, I don't know. So it's actually something that's a real stretch for a lot of people, but really worth finding more and more drawbacks until you're certain that there's equal drawbacks and benefits. Because we don't want to think that I'm changing people's lives. No, you change it and you mess it up. You know, if someone has a transformation, then maybe they can't go out to dinner anymore, and they can't have, because they choose, they want to eat a particular way, or they can't do X, Y, Z because it's kind of in conflict, or they have social dynamics and they don't feel like they fit in anymore. And so there's a birthing and destroying of their life when you do coaching. And so if we only focus on all the things that we think are positive and perceive positive, we're blind to the other side and the challenge that coaching brings to them. So we want to know that it is both, it's transformative for them. Pain and pleasure that's going to happen and birth as a result of the coaching we do. So we don't want to be attached to one. And then the last thing is, we want to be able to know our worth. Like if you, I know I've spent like 6 figures on coaching in terms of all my education. That's not including the travel pre-COVID that I had to do. So if you add all of that up, and then all the hours you've done for, like unpaid, that you've done previously, then you have experience. And so you want to go, what's the benefit of charging our rates to them? And you've just got to build it up so much that it's so fluent that you cannot not do it. So you want to have so many benefits to the client that you can't turn. If they said, no, I want it for free, you're like, no, I can't do it for free. I have to charge you. And it's like your certainty then in knowing that you don't always have to deliver exactly what they need, because you've got strategies and phrases that you can say, things you can say to help kind of mitigate their expectation. And then know that, and sometimes, sometimes I've had a session where I'm like, we got nowhere. And that was on me. And I know it was on me. And I say, look, and I've done it a few times in my career. I've said, look, I know we didn't get anywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one more session with you. Just give me some time to think about it, because I feel like I'm missing something. I then hang up the phone. I ring up one of the other facilitators. Dude, this just happened to me. I got no idea what just happened. I don't know what to do. And then they go, oh, Tanya, why don't you ask that? I'm like, oh, total mind. I didn't even realize that I have another session with them, crack it, and it's great. So sometimes you then have to just have the humbleness to say, you know what? super lost right now. I don't know what to do. Or I feel like we're not really progressing in the way that I know that we can. Can you just give me one more, like just give me a day, a week, let me process it. Let me really think about, I care deeply about helping you. I really want to think about it. Just give me some time to be able to do that. And let's come back and let's do it again next week. Would that be okay? And most people are going to turn around and say, yeah, of course. Thank you so much for caring. Like, I really want to work through this. And thank you for, no, most people are like, no, I'm not going to give you a second go. Like, because if you sincerely care about your client, they will want you to help and be there. So there are just things that you can also navigate around when you get to those sticky points to be able to help the clients and also help you as well. And it is okay. That's why we have a community of coaches, and why we have, for example, the Students of Wisdom page, is so that you can go onto Facebook and you can say, hey, I'm working with this client, I'm a bit stuck. Or you can ask one of your people in your community to say, I actually don't know. And clients like that, because they go, gosh, she doesn't know, but she wants to still help. And so we want to have that freedom and flexibility. So hopefully that session has been valuable for you and those who have been listening in terms of your coaching practice.
Thank you so much, Tanya. That's absolutely awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, team, tell me, how is that for you? What are your thoughts? Another thought, if the client pays good money to be coached, they're more likely to turn up and work hard to get the result they desire. If they don't pay much, I experience what they tend not to work as hard and take it less seriously. Definitely. Everyone said thank you. So Bridget said it may be worth looking at the need to be so much more practiced at your method, to also consider the value of working intuitively with them, for sure, 100%. I still remember when I became master certified in the Demartini method at 4.5 years into my journey. And I still remember, so I had 4.5 years. So I've got a counseling degree, so I've got a Bachelor of Applied Social Science. I then had 4.5 years of like full-time work, working with clients, doing master certification, which is a lot of hours in terms of becoming practiced. And you know what happened when I got my certificate? I actually felt like I knew nothing. I know. I felt like I knew nothing. I felt like I was still, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, whoa, like I still felt like I was at the beginning of like learning. Now this is a long time since then. So I feel like, but I've done a lot of hours to kind of earn more confidence and more certainty in what I do. But I will still have clients that come up and I'm still like, oh, it's a sticky one. That's a bit of a tricky one. And I've got to really think about it. But I didn't, so I'm hoping that can put into perspective after still having a lot of hours under my belt and still feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I think it's part of the journey we go through as a coach, and to think and have that expectation, I should know what I'm doing each and every time you turn up. The complexity of human behavior, the problems people have when people come to me for business and they come to me to help them to grow their business or to get more clarity in their purpose or to expand themselves make a bigger impact. It might be a financial issue. It might be a self-esteem, dynamic itself. It might be an identity crisis issue. It might be relationship. It might be childhood trauma, the perceptions that they've got going on. It's like so many things. It could be all of those things. And so human behavior is so complex for us to then say, because we've done one course and then we should be like proficient at what we do. It is such a journey to be able to become proficient at what we do. It is time under your belt that is going to get you more practice, that's going to get you more proficient at what you do. And so when you can put that into perspective, then take off that stress. You should be a master and you should be an expert today. People understand that. And even if you turned around and said, look, I'm really at the beginning of my journey in being a coach, people are like, great, coach me. Like, if someone doesn't want you to coach them, they would go to someone else. So we too are students mastering life, 100%. So I know as well, like when we came in, I've done 76 breakthrough experiences and facilitated a lot of them. And I used to still remember when we used to have facilitator training at the breakthrough experience with Dr. DeMartini, and we're doing our training, I would still learn something from a brand new facilitator that would share something with me. And I'm like, oh, never heard that before. And they're like, actually, DeMartini talks about that all the time. It was just like the lens of what they share is like so profound. You guys are like, the lens of what they share is so profound that I'm like, whoa, I never saw it from that perspective. But it's just because new, fresh eyes, they can still have something to teach. And I can still learn something from Dr. DeMartini, who's been doing it for a lot longer than I have. And so we can learn from different people. And so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have that, just the time in order to become a coach. So mastery. So thank you, Tanya, and team so much. Aha, goosebump moment. So tell me, what about you? So who would like to share some insights? I see, Alexa, you were nodding lots. So tell me. Our clients are our teachers and coaches too, 100%. So Christian, great session. Thanks, Kiri and Tanya. I would also love to hear how your poo situation worked out, Kate. So would I, Kate. I'll be sending you and my hubby some loves. Hillel said it would be nice if there's any internship after gaining facilitator certification. So, tell me your thoughts, your insights.
Tanya, can I ask a question?
Craig, yes.
Hi. When you're first looking at drawbacks of when the client gets what they want, it wasn't associated to a specific event, so they were kind of our hypotheticals in a sense. And I'm just wondering what you would do, like when you decide to not link it to a specific event versus linking it to a specific event and finding drawbacks to that.
For her not achieving the results?
It was the drawbacks if she did achieve the results, but it was kind of like a general drawbacks, and so I'm just wondering when you would
so
decide.
I wouldn't want to say that every time we apply the DeMartini method we have to go to specifics. Sure. And then saying that doing generals doesn't work, because it does, because prior to
I totally agree, but what would you decide?
I guess if I go back to that moment. So because she hasn't had that much experience, there's not a lot of clients that she's worked with. She's worked kind of, she's got 3 right now. I just thought if we go stay broad general, that might help her kind of unloosen some of it rather than going super specific with one individual. And then she might go, yeah, but that only worked with that one individual, but what about all these other people? So if I stay broad, that might kind of cover more of the dynamic as opposed to getting too specific with one individual.
Okay, yeah, loosen it up, that makes sense. Thanks.
Loosen it up, yeah. So tell me, how do we equilibrate ourselves at the end of each session to stop labeling great session, terrible session? So I use a platform called Notion. So I take all my notes on Notion. I've created this kind of like system. Marcy, you're in the coaches, so you'll get access to it. But roughly for those who don't have it, Notion's just a free platform that you can create templates and things on there. And so I have like a coaching template. And so what each session I do, I have like some of the questions they ask and what we worked on, and some of the insights that they got, the homework that they need to do. And then down the bottom is I rate the session. And so if I start to notice that as I go through the sessions and I start to notice that there's a high sessions each time, that's when I can start to go, I want to equilibrate myself, because sometimes what happens is when we get attached to one session, the very next session is the complete inverse. So if we like, oh my gosh, that was like on fire and blah, 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 then the next session is just like flat, nothing. It's like you can't connect. It's really challenging. So one is we can just get really back present. We could ask what did we miss, or what could you get homework to them to work on next time, so they can do more homework. I'm a big homework giver in sessions. I find it helpful for people because it gets them I get them indirectly saying, hey, now go do work on yourself. Like go work, do the work instead of just working with me, do the work for yourself as well. So that can kind of help as well. Because when you give homework, you're also saying, well, these are the things that are not done, that are not complete. And so then that helps to somewhat balance in your mind what they could still work on. So the other thing is you have to notice whether you're elated or not. Some people aren't even aware because they're like, oh, that's a great session. And then they aren't aware of how elated they are. Because if it was just a great session, no problem. But if it's like, oh, so great, let me talk about it. And you start to note it and tell other people about it, depending on who you are and how you do your coaching. And so then you might want to go, oh, hang on, I'm talking about it too much. That's showing I'm infatuated, and there's a level of attraction to it. And then ask, what's the drawback? What did you miss? What did you not do very well? And kind of see the opposite side. Yeah. And then come back to your vision or your intention of like why you do your service in the first place. Because when you come back to that can be one, like if I go back to one of my phrases that I say around my purpose, I'll come back to saying that just helps to ground me no matter what state I'm in. So thank you. You're welcome. Great session, Tanya. How can you work on believing I don't have the certifications? I thought I'd worked on it, but it surfaced this morning. So when you work with someone and you're in a session with someone, in a way we're transcending space, transcending space, or we're just connected in with someone and you're wanting to be able to help. And so one of the things that I have noticed is that when we can have that heart, like that's when we sincerely care about another individual and we want to be able to help them, it doesn't matter. No one says, well, what credentials do you have? What experience do you have? It's like they feel that level of care with you, and they feel that's more than enough. Because some people can be so highly certified, but not know how to practically apply, or they're too in their head. And so that can be a downside. Plus, you're not owning your own authority. If you're like, I need a piece of paper, something on the outside in order for you to feel a particular way so that you can go out into the world and share what it is that you would love to share with the world. And so when you need something on the outside, then something else is governing you with how you feel. I have more paper, I feel better. Less paper, worse. So what we want to be able to do, so similar kind of experience of how we did with Kiri is go through like what's all the life experiences that you've had that have created dynamics inside of you that has made you valuable to the marketplace. Because maybe you have street skills, maybe you have some kind of life experience, maybe you've been able to transform some certain pains or been able to overcome something that's similar, or you've just got hours, maybe you're not university trained, but you've got countless hours behind you under your belt to be able to help someone or work with someone. So if we can transcend that need to have a certification, sometimes you need it, like to become a doctor, to become a psychologist, you need a certification. You can't say I'm a psychologist or a doctor and then do a practice, unless you're the Shantaram guy and you go to India and then you become a doctor in a shanty town. Still not a formal doctor. So it is just like transcending it. It's like becoming your own authority. It's one of the things that we do inside of our maximum growth classes in the business is like owning your authority. If you listed everything you've ever studied, every book you've ever read, every program you've ever participated in, whether you got a certificate or not, every maybe documentary you've watched, or every time that you've had under the belt of the things that you're doing, if you put all that together, it's like, how do you not have experience? Couple that with your desire to want to help. That's what's important. So I still remember when I did my first, I was doing my counseling skills in university, and we were in our tutorial, and I was paired with this lady, and we were the first people up. So she chose the youngest, me being the youngest in the class, with the oldest in the class, and sat us in the front and said, okay, Tanya's going to do a session on you. And she just looked at her and said, I'm not doing it with her. And I just remember this feeling of like, oh. And, you know, being super young and like, I don't know what's going on. And do I just get up and leave? Like, what happens? And then she's like, no, the lecturer's like, no, you're doing it. So just do it. And so I just start, I'm still fumbling. I still have no idea. Did not have the DiMartini method, and John DiMartini had kind of shared some of the foundation of what I do now. And so when I'm working with her and I start asking her, I had a love and a care that came through. And at the very end, she had said, I didn't even notice your age. And so that was the moment where I realized that when you're present with someone, it transcends all of that. When you're fully present with someone. So that's what you want to focus on, not what certificate you have. Response with that. All right, team. So hopefully you've found this session valuable. If you are a coach, you need to step into the coaching practice. You've been coaching for a while. Maybe there's some insights and learnings and lessons that can be helpful in you also building your own coaching practice. So thank you, team, for coming along for our hot seats. Definitely beautiful to have a witness for those that are going through and wanting to build. So hopefully Alexa working through your dynamic, maybe that can also help you. Maybe Marcia stepping up and owning your authority, definitely going to be helpful. So thank you, team. And I look forward to seeing you at the next perfect time. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, team. I hope that you have a beautiful night. And if you're super keen or interested in coming on, we do have our doors open for the month of April. So if you know someone who'd love to come in and join the Maximum Growth community, or you would like to do it, then you can jump on to maximumgrowth.co and check out. We have 3 different types of memberships, either Mindsets, which focuses on just applying the DiMartini method 2 columns at a time throughout the entire year. And then we have Business, which helps you to really step up and level up and smash through growth ceilings within business. And then if you are a coach, you have to go on a waiting list to kind of jump into. So we're just waiting for a couple more people, and then that coaching class can open up. And that is helping business coaches grow a financially viable coaching business. So thank you. And as always, we have an after chat. So if you want to ask any other questions outside of this topic, feel free to use this as an opportunity. Alexa, did you have yours answered?
No, well, not directly. I have had a lot of insights, so thank you very much, Kiri, for sharing, and for you, of course, doing the work. Would you have some insight on what I could tackle next when it comes to this? It feels like fear of, growing. Like I just took your business, so the class, yes. But I didn't even show up last week because my head was hurting so much. Even with the medicine, I just had to lie down. So it's really frustrating.
So one of the things we ask is, so whenever we want to grow out, or when we find we get to that growth ceiling, we're like, I know I want to grow, but I kind of feel like I keep on hitting up and I'm getting some resistance. Essentially, if we ask this one question, which is super powerful, it is, if my business was to double or triple right now, what would fail? So if you said, okay, so if I had to double or triple my business right now, what would fail? And you would say, well, I'd run out of time. Okay, I have no energy. Let's say those 2 are the top things. Okay, so what are you going to do time-wise to shift that? You're going to get an EA sign up so that you could relieve some of the time so you don't have to do so much admin work. Okay, great. So then that, and what about energy? Okay, well, how are you going to manage your energy? Well, it can help that, but maybe there's an element of whatever, meditating or something. It's like, go do that. Okay, so what else if your business was double, triple right now, what would happen? I'd be super stressed. Okay, so what are you going to do to manage your stress? What specifically would you be stressed about? Okay, if you're going to be stressed about like how do you invoice people? Okay, great. Well, do we do something practical there, or is it the fact that you have to ask people for money, and is that the issue? And then if it's asking people for money, okay, so what's the benefit of asking people for money? And then you go benefit asking people for money. You're like, okay, I can ask people for money because that gross ceiling isn't there anymore. Okay, what else? My business was to double or triple net right now. What would fail? And then you just keep on going again and again and again till no matter what. It's like there's nothing above you that's in the way because you've either emotionally processed it out, you've created better strategies or dynamics that can help you to kind of navigate through it, put better systems in place. Then that roadblock or that ceiling doesn't keep on having to happen.
For me,
so
the
if you
first
did
thing
that, how would you feel about?
The first thing that came, those are all beautiful ideas of what I can do. The first that came up is energy, and I have a very limited amount of energy available per day. So I have not found yet how to get more of it. It's a very scarce resource that I don't seem to have. Like last night, I have a watch that measures body energy. Last night, for the first time in my life, it went down while I was asleep. So I really have no idea what I can do to have the energy and I'm doing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you an exercise to do, and then we can come back and we can have another chat about it. So I'm just going to give you one exercise to start with, and it's a post-it note exercise. I love these exercises, by the way. If you're in any of my maximum growth business classes, post-it notes are a must because this is one of the exercises it's kind of an adaptation of this. So basically, you get post-it notes and you do a life review of everything that you've ever done in your entire life that's giving you energy.
Everything that I've done in my entire life that has given me energy?
Yeah.
Okay. And on each post-it, one thing.
One thing. So you're gonna go. So yesterday I had an inspiring conversation, post-it note. I saw a client and it was on this particular topic, post-it note. You went to this particular course, lots of energy, post-it note. You XYZ, you went to an art show, post-it note. You're just going to keep on doing that on everything. So what's going to happen is, because remember that your body is the best feedback to let you know whether you're doing something that's aligned with you and misaligned with you. Misaligned with you, tired. Aligned, awakened. So what we want to do is what has been giving you energy, and what's going to help is as you post-it note it over time and you start to go, what's common to all the things that are here? What's the thread between all of this? What's my body telling me about my purpose, about my vision, about my mission? And then it's like, how do we base a life around that?
I will do the exercise. I'm kind of thinking.
Do that and come back to me. Yeah, do that and come back to me. And I don't know, because I'm not giving you advice, but I'm just sharing a thought. And it would be around the thing that you have, because you see something and that then tells you this is bad. I have no energy. So you have something on the outside telling you whether you have energy or not. And I wonder if that is actually part of a dynamic, as opposed to you taking that off and going, I'm just going to check in with me, as opposed to having a watch that tells you what your energy levels are. You check in with you. How are my energy levels?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm doing both. So sometimes I feel, and like after the session right now, I just had the feeling I feel really good. You know, it was an inspiring hour, and so I was really energetic. And I would be interested to see what the watch says. And on the other hand, sometimes it says I'm high energy, and I don't really feel at all energized. And so sometimes it's aligned. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I just, because then because remember that our perceptions create how we feel as well. So then if it's telling you, oh, you're high, then you might get worried, or low, you get worried, and then that kind of amplifies it, as opposed to just checking with you, how do you feel? I'm grateful that you showed up to class today, and that I'll also see you on Wednesday for the business class, because even if you feel like shite before you arrive, you know that by the end you'll feel lighter, and it's show up. Just show up. Yeah. Olivia says the body does not lie. No lying. Finding the golden thread in your life is powerful. Gratitude energizes you. Yeah. So is that helpful or not?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I'll take off the watch and see what happens in the next 2 months or so.
Yeah, just test and I need it because I've worked with a few people who wear the aura ring. Yeah, the aura ring. And it's just like, oh, I had a sleep tonight. I'm like, okay, my aura ring told me. And I'm like, but how do you feel? And I feel fine. Okay. So it's like we give power to something else rather than getting in power within ourselves. And that in itself is leaky of energy. That in itself is giving away your energy, because you're giving your power away to something else.
Yeah, the reason why I started it is because I have a body neuropathy, so I have my nervous system breaking down. And so I was trying to find out what else I could learn around my body that could maybe help, but maybe don't help.
But that's also great to do for a period of time. But then just, you know, like there's a point where we get some people can sometimes get a little bit too obsessed, like so much checking and then so much data, and then you're like, that's not me.
Who are you talking about?
Who are you talking about? Okay. Then maybe we've swung the pendulum a little bit too far to the opposite side. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you, team. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing. And I look forward to seeing you at the next perfect time. Okay. Take care. Bye.